My name is Jonathan Parks, and welcome to Jonathan's Nature Crafts. I must inform you that I do not live in this house by myself, but live here with other people. Sometimes other members of the household may have to walk through areas where I might be recording with other family members on the phone. If you hear any noise like that, please feel free to disregard. We are doing our best to get noise-canceling equipment, which may at least keep you from hearing exactly what is being said. Thank you for considering. As you all may note, did decide I'd come back on a little bit and maybe try to kind of finish these things up. They're going to kind of have a little work to do in them, and I say just kind of come back around, take care of what we have left to take care of on this one. Kind of got little things to say because you notice blood on the blanks, like I said, and I tell y'all that it's just all the things that we see and say in this world just to have a little knowledge of who we are, what we do, all the things we have in life. I tell y'all that this is just a little thing that's comforting to know that God's Savior looks out for you. Sometimes this story, it just kind of reminds me of another old story from when I used to work in a baseball stadium. I'll tell you a little bit more about that. And the blood on the blanks just brings back to mind a certain old story. And there was a certain concert that was going on at that baseball stadium, and had to work the concert too. And the story was that there was this man who was going around drunk, and I saw him laying on the ground face down, with the cops fighting with him to put his hands behind his back and put him in cuffs. And it was kind of a little bit of a, for me, I say traumatizing experience, and felt kind of rough to me just to kind of see what he had to go through. I felt real sad for him, and most people, when they see that kind of thing, they just think, you know, people just break the law and bring stuff upon themselves. But what I like to say is that in this particular case, I decided there would just be little prayers to be said, kind of just like what you see here, all these chips kind of flying around everywhere. So I'll tell y'all a little bit more of the story when I get around to it, but that's just the kind of little reminders we get when we just see these little things. Decided I'd do the same little step I did with the last ones on these other three for this video, and kind of take it along a little further as it goes. I say, oh, and I tell y'all that it's going to be another adventure when we get back around to sweeping up all these chips. But I say, getting back to the story, I decided I wanted to pray for the man, that he realized his need of God. Tell a lot of my friends the story, ask them all to pray. I mean, in those days, there wasn't much we did by social media as there is now, so I sent it out in email to all my church members and people I had met in churches, asking them to kind of pray for the man at the concert, though I didn't know his name. telling people, oh, but the Lord knows who he is. Prayed that while he was in jail, he'd probably realize his need of God and maybe repent, maybe come to know Jesus, maybe just realize what a wonderful life with Jesus you could have. And is the kind of thing where a year or so later, I was telling another girl about it who came to work there later, and she said, oh, and talked about how sweet that was, because most people would just think a little thing like that was just so well deserved, and and like they brought it upon themselves and things. But I say that there's been times in my life I've just always had my own struggles with reality and understanding things, so I decided I'd get people together to pray, and so they did. I say that the reason I'm reminded of that story by the blood on the blanks is because of the fact that while the cops wrestled with him, he kind of had an injury to his nose or mouth there on the concrete, and that was the reason why the concrete was covered in blood. It was right there in the little section that was right there in the concourse area, among the place where you enter the fan stands. And so, some people, they just tell me, oh, you shouldn't worry about that. But I tell you, there are some things that come to my mind, and some things in my life I believe God uses to tell me to pray. But I say, blood can leave really bad stains in places. When I had my little injury on the bandsaw, there was kind of like blood on that pair of jeans I wore. And I went to the ER in a stained pair of jeans. I said, hey, and just as we come about it again, there's little places where we shall cut along this blank. I think I'm kind of being a little more careful this time not to really have my left hand with the glove too much in the way of my right, so that I don't really kind of give myself another one of those little terrible little cuts, I say. So kind of like working to do what we do, I say, oh, kind of work that we get when we make old Saint Nick. Oh, and for my blessings today, I tell y'all, yesterday went out to work out anytime, and did like, I'd say, 30 minutes of cardio, and did just a little bit of time going back to the weights again, like for some time I felt I had needed to do. And it's just not something I do often. Sometimes if I need to get out a little steam, I'll kind of do those little weightlifting exercise machines and kind of get a little bit more work in to try to make a little better way to myself. I say this kind of thing that works its way in us, I say, hopefully this time around we're making it to where we're getting just the way we are safe with the knife and safe with the cuts. So that's just a little good thing in life to regard. So I say that this is just kind of one little work of our hands, kind of get it all just neatly into place there. I'm going to probably get a carbon apron for Christmas this year that will catch all the chip much better. So I say for a little thing, and This walnut is a hard wood. It's also a kind of toxic wood, so sometimes you kind of got to be careful carving it, because if you get a little cut while you're carving walnut, you might actually kind of poison yourself with that little toxin that is in it. It's called juglone. That is the reason why you do not use walnut in a horse stall. You don't use walnut mulch in a horse stall. That is the reason why you don't use walnut mulch on your garden. The mulch can go into the hooves of horses and poison them and kill them. It can also, if it is used on your garden, the poison can come out of the mulch and kill your plants. So it's just a lot of things just watch out for. I even kind of read in a certain place on the internet that whenever it came to something like this walnut, that in the mulch in the garden, it could especially do that to plants like tomatoes and blueberries. So just a little thing to watch out for there. And sorry about my sneezes. I have really bad allergies, and probably more than most people, and more allergies than I'm aware of or know, but probably more of them than I can do anything about. So I want to say also that whenever it just comes down to what you have in the little garden, I will mention that sometimes when you plant a walnut tree, the roots will grow out and kill all the grass that is all around it. I know one thing for sure, that it's like I've been in places where I've seen walnut syrup along with maple syrup. If they use the sap of the tree to make walnut syrup, they probably got a special way to do it. Just like the nuts themselves that grow on the tree are not too poisonous to eat, could very well be that the sap of the tree might not be too poisonous to make syrup out of. If anything, I just know that the wood is. So that's kind of just the thing we have to watch out for the most. And I like to share this quirky little story about the time when I first started carving, when I kind of had people tell me about the poison of walnut and all the crazy little tricks I'd tried just to see what it would do. And time when I took some shavings of walnut wood and mixed it with coffee grinds, put it together into the coffee pot, brewed it, and drank it. And wasn't until fairly recently I was sharing that story at a Woodcarvers Guild meeting and had people asking me little questions like, so, how did it taste? Probably didn't taste its best, but I'd say it was just one of those things tried to do for the most part. And I'd say whenever it comes down to just a little bitty things that the wood can do, I say always turns out to be some pretty good carving wood when you really think about it. I say that these little places we got in kind of make out the front of the body of the little Saint Nick. And I say for little chiplings that happen everywhere and fall everywhere and stay everywhere, it's going to come a time when one of these days I'll get back around to rearranging this area and getting some stuff out of the way so I can sweep it all up once again. I say that just a little time and work and energy may make it so. A little cut can heal. don't know what to say in the long run about those things we have to say more for, but this little time I get on here just to make a little statement and say that this is just the kind of work that we need to kind of make ourselves happy, to help ourselves to enjoy life a little more, help us enjoy it at its fullest. So I say that with all the videos I can make, it's going to be so much more to share over time, so much more to see and to say. Thank you all for watching. Stay tuned, stay in touch, and always. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. I hope to see you in the next video. Stay tuned.